Welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to understand a super important concept in JavaScript and programming in general. The concept is loops. Don't worry if you are new to programming. By the end of this video, you'll be confident about loops and how they work in programs. You know when you need to repeat something again and again, like going to college, going to school every day? That's exactly what loops do in programs. They help us to repeat the tasks without writing the same code multiple times. Without talking much, let's try to understand loops through simple examples. Let's go to the Xcode. First, let's create need for the loops. Say for example, you have to write 1 to 5 on screen. Normally how you do it, you write it like this: 1, then put a break here, then write 2, and then repeat 3, 4, 5. Now let's copy this and go to the browser, paste and go. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 written on the screen. It's exactly how we did it inside the code. Now let's do that with a loop. No, we do not want to repeat the code. For let I is equal 1, I is less than equal 5, I plus plus. Now let's go and put the number here. Now let's go to the browser again and refresh it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If we want to use new lines after each number, let's add a break tag. Let's go to the browser again and let's refresh it. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 being printed on the screen without repeating the same line of code again and again. Now we have introduced the for loop here. The looping statements might sound complicated. First, now let's try to break it down and understand it bit by bit. Remember that the for loop has 3 parts: first part, second part, and the third part. You can see that they're demarcated by the semicolons. Let's try to break them into 3 parts, 3 lines. Let's call it part 1, part 2, and part 3. Part 1 is executed only once. Part 2 is executed until this condition is true, and once the condition is false, then the loop gets exited, and then the part 3 gets executed till the end of the loop. Now let's see how this loop is working. This loop is supposed to print on screen from number 1 to 5. Initially what happens is, in first step, part 1 will do the initialization part. It will make the value of I equal to, let's make the multi-line comment here so we can write it freely. I is assigned 1 and the condition is true. The third part will not be executed in the first iteration. Once it is seen that the condition is true, then this block of code will be executed. In this block we are printing the value that's held by I, so it will print 1 on screen. And the next step, what will happen is it will go to the part 3 first. So part 1 is gone, part 2 is not seen yet, so part 3 will convert this value of I to I plus 1. What I has 1 value and it will make it I plus 1 2. Then part 2 will be checked in the second iteration. Part 2 has I is less than equal 5, so I has the value 2, 2 is less than 5, it's true. Then again the code will be executed, and similarly it's 2 will be printed, then 3 will be printed, and 4 will be printed. Let's see what happens when it is 4. Then it will go into the part 3. It will make this as 4 value, 4 plus 1 5. 5 is less than or equal 5, it's true, so it will again print 5. Then it will again add one last time. It will go to part 3 and it has now value 5, and 5 plus 1 is 6. Then the condition will be checked: is 6 less than or equal 5? No, it's not, it's false. At this stage this loop will be stopped. That means at the end of the loop the value of I will be 6, but the 6 will not be printed because this code block will not be executed. Now let's see it on the screen and go to the browser and refresh this page. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now let's try to change the condition. Let's make it 15. So what it ideally should it do? It should print from 1 to 15. Now let's go back to the browser screen, refresh it, see 1, 2, 3 up to 15. That's how the for loop is working. Now if we want to turn off this loop, what we can do is we can just make this condition false in the first statement. So initially the I will be 1, I is less than equal 10. It's false, nothing will be printed on the screen. Let's go to the browser again and refresh it. It's gone. That's how we turn a loop off. Then we have another type of loop called while loop. To understand the while loop, let's just jump into the code editor and understand it there. So let's comment this for loop for while. Let's do this: let y is equal to 1 while y is less than or equal 5. Let's copy this, put y here, and then y plus plus. This is increment. It's similar to y equals y plus 1. Now let's go into the browser and try to run it. You can see it has printed the same thing that we did with the for loop. Now let's try to understand it a little bit in the Xcode. The only only difference in for and while is in the while loop, we just check the condition inside those parentheses. The initialization is outside of the loop and the increment is inside the code block of the while loop. That's how simple it is. Then we have another type of loop called do while. That's also similar to while loop, but what happens in that case, let z equals 1, do this first, and then while z is less than equal 5. Now we do something first. It's z here and we increase z. Let's go to the browser and refresh it. It again prints 1 to 5. Make a little difference. Let's change something. Let's make it 6. Go to the browser again and refresh it. It's 1 2 3 4 5 6. Now let's try to understand the difference between while and do while. See here what happens in case of do while. The similarity is that the initialization happens outside the loop and the condition is checked in the parentheses after the while statement. Same is happening in while case, and what happens in this case is condition is checked after the body of the loop executes. It means that if we need to do something at least once and then check condition, this is the suitable loop for that. In case of while, first the condition is checked, then the block of code executes, and in case of do while, first the block of code executes, then the condition is checked. And that's it. Loops in JavaScript are super useful when you need to repeat things, whether it is counting numbers, looping through the data, or working on some cool animations. Play around with these examples and try to build your own loops. I would like to know, what would you use the loops for? Let me know in the comments below. If this video helped, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the video with your friends. And I will see you in the next video. Till then, goodbye.